Welcome to my channel, Sonia Unapologetic. My name is Sonia, and on this channel, I talk about self-love and creating the life of your dreams from a Black woman's perspective. Before we go any further, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to be notified every time I post a video. I am excited to have a very special guest with us, Myesha Francis. She is a conscious, creative, visual artist and art mentor from New Orleans, Louisiana, which that is near and dear to my heart because my family is also from Southern Louisiana as well. I got some information from your website, Maisha, that says your mission is to share in raising the vibration of the world through creating and sharing soul-centered art. Another piece of information that's so inspiring, and I'm so proud of you, is that you had a piece of art featured in the Smithsonian called Red Beans and Fleur de Lis. So I'm and also I'm gonna give a little bit of background about the way we know each other. We met through a community of Black women called Exodus Summit. It's a community of Black women wanting to live outside of the US, or you're taking a sabbatical or just moving abroad. And right now, Maisha is in Rwanda. I'll let you introduce yourself and also tell them the city in Rwanda that you're in. You'll get to, I guess, tell more about yourself.
Okay. Hey, everybody. My name is Myesha Francis, aka Creatively Yours Maisha, and I am an artist. I'm a teacher. I'm a mentor, artist mentor, and I'm in Kigali, Rwanda. So I've been in Kigali for almost a year now. I took some breaks, came back and forth to the US for a couple of months, and then now I'm back. So I guess altogether, it's been about a year. But yeah, I'm here just creating the life that I need. I don't want to romanticize it because it is still earth, for lack of a better term, and people are people everywhere, but I'm creating the life that I need as an artist and creative. So yeah.
That is awesome. So I have some questions here for you. And of course, I went to your website and just looked around at your art, and I just love your style. One thing I notice is that every piece of art that I see of yours, it has a signature. Like if you put all those pieces together, it's like people know that these were all made by the same artist. So how did you find your signature style, and did it just naturally come, or did you have to put some effort into it?
I would say it found me because I like to dibble and dabble in a whole bunch of different genres and mediums. I've been painting for the past 20 years or so. And I remember kind of fighting that notion that an artist had to have a style to have arrived. And what I know now, is that it's not that the artist has to have a style, it just develops over time, right? And we get confused as young artists about what that means, because then you don't want to explore and expand and, and try different things. So it just kind of happened. And now I recognize that I do have a particular style because I gravitate towards a particular color palette. Even now I have that color palette on. It's turquoise, pink, I gravitate towards that color palette. And so it kind of found me as I, begin to really lean into what I like as a woman, as a creative. I like pink. I like gold. I like light, happy, free colors. And so that's how it kind of develops. So even if I'm painting an abstract piece or jazz, or I'm getting ready to paint one of my pots, I know those are the colors I'm going to use. And I'm always trying to paint to lift up myself, lift up the vibration. So I rarely paint in dark colors. If I'm
Yeah.
painting in dark colors, I'm probably going through something. And at the end of the day, before I even finish the painting, I'm telling you that pink is gonna be in there anyway.
Yeah.
So it found me, and then I'm always interested in how do I have this thought in my head, how do I bring the light into this work? So it found me because this is what I'm feeling inside. How do I bring the light so it just comes out on the canvas or whatever I'm working on? And I'm doing digital now, so I see that it's the same style is flowing to digital.
That is so awesome. I'm seeing a lot of people who are doing, digital now, and technology just continues to, help art evolve. We talked about, signature style for anyone that's new to this channel. I am an artist, but a different type of artist. I'm a screenwriter, and then also just, writer of fiction as well. But, and then also filmmakers. So I noticed with a lot of filmmakers like Spike Lee has this signature, which I call the floating sidewalk. I don't know if that's what it actually is called or whatever, but this dolly shot that he does to where his actors are floating. And I just love that, even when you think that he's not going to be able to fit that into the movie, like, how is this going to make sense? Oh, he's always going to find a way for it to make sense. And I just feel like it's beautiful. And so that's something that as a filmmaker, as a writer, it's like you have to find your voice, because for a lot of novelists, if I read all of their books, I'm like, you can tell that this is the same voice that is written
Yep.
by the same writer.
Yep.
And so,
Walter Mosley jumps out when you say that. Like, he don't even have to put his name on his books. I know if he wrote it.
I love Walter Mosley. The thing about Walter Mosley is he's like your favorite author's favorite author.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Because my favorite author a while back was Eric Jerome Dickey. And Eric Jerome Dickey, his style evolved so much. And that's something, as an artist, it makes, me wonder, it's like, will my style ever just totally, change, to something else? Because Eric Jerome Dickey went from kind of like mainstream relationship stuff to like contract killers, type murder, murder for hire plots.
Wow.
And so that was a big
But does it
switch.
still have the same voice?
Oh man, I'm trying to think if I feel like it was the same voice. I feel like, yeah, I feel like you can that you can tell that maybe I can tell it's the same author, because I knew it's the same author. If someone took, all of the, the cover off of that book from his earliest work to his latest work, people probably wouldn't have known that that was the same author. But he said that Walter Mosley and Eric Jerome Dickey, for people who are not into reading like that, he has since passed away. But
oh, Eric Jerome Dickey?
yeah, Eric Jerome Dickey passed away. I'm so
oh no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he has.
That's like a pivotal voice from my 20s, a pivotal voice in my ear from my 20s. Like, I was on Eric Jerome Dickey hard because, and he inspired me, but I did not know. Oh man, nobody told me nothing.
Yeah, I think it was last year.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so he and that's the thing about art. Art comes in so many different, mediums. I guess that's the word, because there's writers, there's painters, photographers, singers. We're both from Southern Louisiana. You are from New Orleans, Louisiana. It's so artsy. The music, the visual art, even the food. The food is art.
Even the food is art.
The food is art. How has your hometown of New Orleans, Louisiana, shaped you as an artist?
We have a song in New Orleans, a second line song called Do What You Wanna.
Mm,
And my city, pre-Katrina, we really were a kind of do what you wanna kind of town. After
mhm,
Katrina, we
mhm,
got a little bit more organized. We had a
mhm.
lot of people come to the city.
Yeah.
But I remember pre-Katrina, one summer, I went home from college and my mama was like, let's go to the French Quarter. We never go to the French Quarter.
Mhm,
Like, we don't do that. But
mhm,
we went and we saw these paintings and sculptures, and I was still very young. I had not really started painting that much lately, but
mhm,
I saw all these jazz sculptures and they were like flowing and at the same time, they had brass bands in the French Quarter. Now we have brass bands in the neighborhoods, but it's for like celebrations and parties, and they would always inspire me, right? Because that's what we
mhm.
do. But to hear it all and see it all and feel it all at the same time,
Yeah.
and it opened me up in a different way. Having been in Dallas, which was very kind of mute, and then coming
Yeah.
home to my city in a
Yes.
different way. And then I
Mhm,
probably went home and my mama had cooked some crawfish etouffee or something like that. And just all those flavors and sounds and art converging in my mind and
mhm,
really highlighting to me who I was and what I come from, it really inspired me in a deep way.
mhm,
And so at that young age, I started painting jazz. I was only painting jazz paintings, saxophones, trumpets, and this kind of
mhm.
abstract flowing way.
Yeah.
And I started, because I remember when I was in college, I used to struggle about what to paint. And my teacher would say, paint what's in your soul. And I'm like, the music of my town, of my city is in my soul. That's what I know. And so
Mhm,
I would take the experiences of going to weddings, because we have second lines at weddings. We have second line bands at everything.
mhm.
But then, having gone to the galleries and things for myself, because
Mhm.
although the locals aren't down there, their art is in the galleries and
Yeah.
people are selling it.
Mhm.
Um, and putting all that together, and really, I was in Dallas,
Yeah.
um, painting my soul, and my soul was the spirit of New Orleans.
Yeah.
That's who I am. My daddy come from uptown, my mama come from downtown, Seventh Ward. Like, I'm
Mhm.
a New Orleans girl. I'm a New Orleans girl through and through. People always say, baby. All right, baby. I'm from New Orleans. I'm from New Orleans.
I
So
love it. I love the accent. And for people who are new to my channel, Myesha talked about, Dallas. Myesha spent a lot of time in Dallas. I'm in Dallas right now.
that's my second home.
Yes, I love Dallas.
Yeah.
And then also as far as New Orleans, when Katrina happened, my grandmother was living in New Orleans at the time. So I have a lot of
Mm,
family in New Orleans.
okay.
My family's really everybody's from Opelousas,
Let
Louisiana.
me find out you my people. I have people in Opelousas too.
Okay,
Let me
okay.
find out because
Everybody
New Orleans,
cousins.
everybody. And so I tell people all the time that if you say you from New Orleans and we can't name two or three of the same people, you're not really from, because we're all connected some kind of
Mhm.
way. You're not really
Yeah.
from New Orleans if we can't name two or
Mhm.
three of the same
Yeah.
people. But like you
Mhm.
just said, your grandmother was in New Orleans. If you tell me her street, I know exactly where she lived, because we're
Mhm.
not that. Kigali is bigger than New
Mhm.
Orleans.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, wow.
and
Okay.
I'm looking at you like, yeah, you could be in my family.
No,
We
okay,
everywhere.
cousin. Okay, cousin.
Think about it. I
That's
know we're getting off topic here, because I look at Rwandans and I can tell automatically now who's in this
Mhm.
town, who's Rwandan and who's not,
Yeah.
right? And that's
Hmm.
because everywhere in the world is like that, right?
Yeah.
Everybody intermarries some kind of way. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, so
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Well,
New Orleans is definitely
yeah.
that place.
It's an inspiration. Louisiana is such an inspiration. New Orleans, New Orleans, when you go, I guess it can feel very cheery. I feel like Louisiana, because having family there is an undertone of darkness
Oh
because
yeah.
of a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
poverty and stuff, so maybe like the tourists don't see that.
Right. I was just
So
about to
some
say Yeah, go ahead. I don't want to cut
it
you
can
off.
be hard to, it can, Opelousas for sure. And, I love, my people from Opelousas. But Opelousas, you have to be mentally prepared to go there. But as far as, okay, like inspiration, a lot of your art is very like cheery and stuff. Do you ever, for someone who's a visual artist or painter or whatever, would you ever channel like a sad or a dark energy to paint, or is all the paintings going to be from a cheerful and happy, sunny place?
That's a great question. And I just want to comment on what you just said about New Orleans is a cheery place, right? From the outside looking in, okay, yeah, if you visit in there, you come in for a good time, that's your intention, right? But New Orleans has uh, a darkness. We are a very spiritual town. People think, oh, New Orleanians just drink and party. No, on Sunday morning, 90% of New Orleanians in church, like my grandma used to say. New Orleans is a very spiritual town. And as of late, I've seen a lot of people who are very esoteric have arrived into the city, and we have light and we have dark, like any society, like any community. I have experienced a lot of darkness in New Orleans. I have experienced to the point where I remember telling my sister one time when I used to cross the we call it the spillway coming into New Orleans, I would get like a heaviness on me, like, man, why am I back here? Why am I here? And because I know of the dark side too. Now we do have a lot of fun, a lot of laughter, a lot of partying. Have both. We're human like everybody else. So to that effect, I want to talk about my art and what you asked me. I paint light intentionally. I paint joy, I paint happiness, I paint from that space intentionally. Now, my art has many, many different layers. Sometimes it may start, and I paint dark to light. So it may start with dark purples and deep blues and, but by the time I get to the end, I'm always thinking, how can I bring the light into this piece? Because, and I want you to probably go back and check this out. The outer edges of a lot of my work is dark. But as I'm coming into the center, I'm bringing in the light. And that's intentional. Now, I do have some pieces like this saxophone with the tulips behind me. That was intentionally bright and cheery. I like painting tulips. I can't get over, I love tulips. I am very intentional about my piece. If you know me, my friends know me, they know that's my saying. I am very intentional about my piece. And even if I'm sad, I'm still gonna, when I start working, I might start working and feeling sad, but my work is gonna lift me up to a place where I then start painting joy. And I'm very intentional about that. I'm very intentional. As a matter of fact, my father has always been into activism, into, human rights issues and civil. I think I've only painted one or two pieces that had to do with civil rights and, the struggle and all of that. I was very aware of it, very conscious, because it's a part of my daily life. This is what me and my dad talk about all the time, right? Racial injustice, human rights, prison pipeline. This is our normal everyday conversation. But in my work, I don't bring it to my creativity. It is I am very much involved in those issues, but I don't bring it to my art.
Me and
I definitely don't bring it to my art.
Yeah, me and my father talk a lot about, I think that's how we connect with those types of conversations. The thing about being a writer, screenwriter, a lot of times, I remember someone was talking to me and they were just like, make sure that you turn off, all the news and all these things that you're listening to that put you in a dark place. They were like, turn all that stuff off, for you to, make sure that you're always in your best place. But then I thought to myself, as a writer, a lot of times you have to channel that energy. So that's the thing. Like, I'm like, it's crazy because like I look at certain screenplays like The Joker, like with Joaquin Phoenix. I'm like, man, that was dark, but I love the movie and I loved what the writers did. And I know it's like with my characters, like one of my characters now, a screenplay that I'm writing, she's in a very, very dark place. So it's like you can't help but as a writer to go to a very dark place, but kind of like yours is the darkness on the outside and the light on the inside. As a writer, it kind of starts out normal, goes dark, 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 and comes back out into light.
I
And
understand
so,
that.
and so for me, I feel like it's like you're the creator of this fictional character's life, but you're just kind of like, man, just hold on. Because it's gonna
Yeah,
get bad.
and
It's almost like you feel, it's a fictional character, but you feel bad, like I am really putting you through it.
yeah, and your work, listen, my work takes me through it too. If I could just be real,
Mhm.
it gets dark in here sometimes,
Mhm.
especially when, you get stuck and it's dark. You're in that dark phase and you get stuck and you can get depressed.
Mm.
My
Oh
work has
man.
depressed me.
Yeah, I've been
It
there too.
discouraged me, where I've had to put it under the bed in the back of the closet and be like,
Mhm.
who do I think I am as a, who do you think you are?
Mhm.
This is crap, these
Mhm.
color, like it depresses me.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
because I am channeling sometimes dark feelings and emotions.
Mhm.
I remember I tell this all the time. I used to say it all the time. I'm so far removed from it now. But I
Yeah.
went through a very, very challenging period in my life. I mean, it was bad. Like
Mm.
I felt like I didn't want to go on. That's how bad it was,
Mhm.
right? Emotionally, it was very
Mhm.
hurtful. I
Yeah.
painted my way out of it. So the
Mm.
work was, I just would wake up in the morning. I had the canvas set up and I would just put black and blue and green and all these colors, and I'm drinking
Mhm.
tea and just feeling very bad,
Mhm.
right? And a lot of those paintings, I had to like stop working on them and just put them to the side because I knew I was taking emotion out on them. But eventually I came back to them and I used to make these little 1-minute clip videos of them. And and that's when I started intentionally bringing the light into my work. That's when I shifted to abstract art through that season. But
Wow.
that's the creative process. I think the creative
Mhm.
process is all of those emotions, all of those stories, all of those things coming out. Yeah, that's the creative process. I know that's
Mhm.
the creative process. That's the challenge of it, and that's also the beauty of it, because grief and love, I just did a little short video about that, are one and the same.
Mhm.
And you can't experience love
Mhm.
without grief, and grief without love, because you wouldn't grieve if you didn't really love.
Yeah.
When you love, there's going to come grief, because the cycle of life,
Mhm.
death, you know, uh, the ripping apart of something.
Yeah.
So, and it's so funny we talking about this, because I remember I got to this point where I was so love and light all the time. People thought I was all love and light, and I'm like,
Mm.
nah.
Mhm.
I intentionally am like that, and I intentionally bring
Mhm.
that to my work. So,
Yeah.
but the process is dark in there too. I just don't talk about the dark part of it. And you're bringing to my attention that I probably need to, because I think people get that twisted a lot. Like
Mhm.
my work is all love and light and I'm all up. No, I'm not, and my work is not.
Yeah.
It goes through it. I have a piece
Yeah.
right now on my website, and it's so beautiful now. It was actually selected for a exhibit in a museum. That piece brought me through it. And
Mm.
I have a post like that on my Instagram page, like this piece was
Mhm.
taking me through it emotionally,
Yeah.
but I just kept going. I kept pushing through. So I would get up every day and maybe spend about 30 minutes to an hour on it. Some days 2 hours, sometimes 40 minutes. And so a lot of times with painting, especially, what you start out with and what you envision in your mind is not what happens at the end. You have to go through the process. You have to
Yeah.
go through sometimes the pain of it being totally ugly, and keep
Mhm.
working, keep pushing through it.
Mhm.
So Yeah.
Yeah, that is something a lot of times as a writer, I'll sit down and it's like watching a movie because I'm like, I didn't know that's what was gonna happen.
Gonna
It's like
happen,
the
and you gotta
characters
do it.
are writing themselves and they're living out their lives. And I feel like I'm just typing, but the characters are writing their own stories. But then also I feel like I can somehow have to channel a dark place to really write their story, but then also sometimes their story can pull me out of a dark place to where being
Mhm.
able to create, being able to because it takes you away from the world.
It does. Your
So
work was
now it's like you're there in their life and spending time with those characters. So it pulls you away from everything because all of your consciousness has to be on creating those characters. So
and you
yeah.
gotta let the spirit speak. You know, when the spirit I used to have an Instagram page I called When the Spirit Speaks, because going back to this whole thing of turning off the news, I haven't watched the news in over 20, 30 years, maybe. I
Mhm.
don't do it ever.
Yeah.
And I noticed that when I might catch a clip of it, walk in the house, my mama was playing it, I would get depressed immediately. And I'm
Mhm.
like, that's not the stuff I want coming through me,
Mhm.
especially when I'm getting ready to create, because just being alive, living can take you to
Mhm.
a dark place. I don't mean to be graphic, but having doing a number two, sometimes
Mhm.
you feel like so much pain and that can take you to being a human being can
Mhm.
be painful. So you
Mhm.
don't need all the extra. And even if you don't get news
Mhm.
off the television, just
Mhm.
news from your own immediate family and friends is painful.
Yeah.
You know, what happened to
Yeah.
your friend's son, or
Mhm.
what your parents are going through, or who died. You don't need the extra
Mhm.
sensationalism of the
Yeah.
news, because your own world is
Mhm.
already bad. You know,
Mhm.
so I don't watch the news. I don't want to get any other outside influences. I only want the spirit.
Mhm.
And when the
Mhm.
spirit speaks, to help me process that into my work, because all that other painful stuff is already happening in
Mhm.
this realm, regardless.
Yeah.
You're going to get that, and
Yeah.
that's already going to be channeled through you as well. So,
That
yeah,
is so true. That is so
yeah.
true.
That conversation of art and dark and pain, and you know how we move through it and work through it, that's the whole conversation in and of itself.
That really is. I always try to, make sure that we have some deep conversations, with anyone that I speak with. But yeah, that is, and a lot of times when I'm doing an interview, every question really could be its own just whole video by itself. Now, you're in Rwanda right now. Kigali is, am I saying that correctly? Okay, so Kigali, Rwanda. And just during the pandemonium, I call it the pandemonium. There's certain things I know we can't say on YouTube, but over these last, since 2020, a lot of people wanted to escape the US, to find their peace. Is that why you went to Rwanda, to kind of escape, some of the stuff going on in the US?
No, I
Okay.
mean, granted, I don't like some of the toxicity of our culture, but
Mhm.
we just had this conversation. Listen, people are
Mhm.
people everywhere,
Mhm.
right? Um, and that's just the truth, right?
Mhm.
You have good people, you have bad people everywhere. And I just saw another lady do a video, saying, don't come to Africa trying to find your peace, and
Yeah.
don't leave, don't
Mhm.
go anywhere trying to find your peace.
Yes.
Peace is inside of you, right?
Mhm.
And I knew that before I left.
Yes.
So I came because, and this has always been my journey as a creative, I always wanted to find a way to be free to create. That's why I opened my gallery. That's why I've
Mhm.
always been an entrepreneur. I became an
Mhm.
art teacher. For about 4 years, I taught art, which really kind of put me back in the box, and I had to figure out, okay, how do I get out of this, right? But my
Mhm.
journey has always been, how can I free up myself more to be creative in my mind and in reality?
Yeah.
And so coming to Rwanda was more about being more free to create and being more free to be creative and live a creative life. Right. Granted, Rwanda has given me, not Rwanda particularly, but this move for me has given me space and time to breathe and think a little bit. And I would caution anybody that would say, oh, you know, Maisha got her piece in Rwanda. No, I didn't. That was an inside job that I actively, because I know a lot of Americans here that are miserable. They like, I'm ready to go home. I can't, why did I do this? I sold all my stuff. Because you have to cultivate that piece before you come. And then here you have to be more intentional about having it, because now you don't have your family and friends. Now you have, you know, people that, while we want to say, oh, we're in the motherland, brothers, they really see you as a foreigner. And not, you know, I don't think anybody's being malicious or, you know, but they see you as an American and as a foreigner. And so you have to be firm enough in yourself to know that none of that defines you. Something I tell my students that, and this is because one of my good friends, I used to really consider her like a mentor, told me, you do not have to subscribe to the collective consciousness of even being African American. You don't have to subscribe to that. You don't have to subscribe to the collective consciousness of anything.
Yeah.
Have your own consciousness within you wherever you are. You have to just decide. So I forgot what the question was.
No, you did an amazing job. And the question was like, did you go to Rwanda to escape, the stress of the US? And I loved your answer. I had to learn that through the journey, because I did go to Mexico to escape. And I realized that everything I was running from, it's like it gets on a plane with you. That thing is like we getting a ticket.
We coming with you.
It's just kind of like, it's like I got a ticket too. And I'm in your checked bags, I'm in your carry-on. It's just kind of like, where are we going? And that's one thing that I had to realize, that peace is within you. I feel like I went a whole alchemist journey. I'm just like, is this?
If you're a mean and hateful person in the US, that's my favorite book. I read that book at least once a year for sure.
Yes.
But if you are,
I feel like I learned that you can't run away from anything. You can't go anywhere to find peace. You can go places and you decide that you're going to focus on some things. But when you give so much power to, okay, when I go to wherever, when I go to Bali, when I go to the continent, I'm going to go to these places to find peace. It's like, no, peace has to be within you. For me, I felt like, as an artist, for me as a writer, and especially someone who wants to continue my filmmaking, I personally was not going to be able to do that to my fullest potential in Mexico. Being back here, I feel, especially after I had that journey to kind of understand that peace is within me, coming back here, I'm more inspired. Back here, I can actually meet face to face with other filmmakers, with other writers, with people who are experts at editing and all that stuff. And so we can have face-to-face conversations and really hype each other up. So for me, I feel like what I'm trying to do, I would not have been able to do that fully in Mexico. But I guess the time just really allowed me to come to some conclusions and some understanding. But I think a lot of people romanticize the idea of just leave all this toxicity, whatever, like this is only in the US. If you leave the US, you're gonna leave all the toxicity behind. It's like, what? I
People
mean,
are,
I don't know why. I don't know if I thought that fully, but I don't know why I even remotely thought that, because I felt like this. In Mexico, I watched the US news way more. I don't watch the US news here. So a lot of things that's happened recently, people had to tell me, like, yeah, because this is going on with the school shooter and whatever. I didn't know that. Not
I
watching the
did.
news. I would have
Listen,
known that in Mexico, because I was like, I knew stuff that was going on in the US, and I would have to tell people in the US, like, y'all had this that happened, because I felt like I was more connected to the US news while I was in Mexico. So it's just like, what was the point of that if I was
I
still?
do not watch. People here, they do the same thing. Americans here are on the US news, and I'm just like, why? Because we got to
Mhm,
know what's going on.
mhm.
Like,
Because you
if
feel like you're not there, so you
right,
have
but
to be there, kind of.
so then like we have these WhatsApp groups, and then they'll post all this traumatic, toxic stuff, and I'm like,
Mm, yeah.
and listen,
Mhm,
nobody in the world is perfect. So, we
yeah.
got enough stuff going on here. Like,
Mhm,
hey, let's be about helping the community you in, or being about the community you in, as opposed to bringing because I just don't know how to say it. And I'm not saying, oh, come run to Africa to save Africa. I keep saying, people say, oh, never mind. I'm getting into a whole other subject about this whole come and do ministry. Like,
mhm.
why? They got as many churches here as they have in the US, if not more. Like,
Yeah.
so that's a whole other conversation. And we probably could,
We can have a zillion conversations.
yeah. But I don't know. I was just talking about that, just getting back to the whole thing about peace. You got to find your peace where you at.
Mhm,
Because you can come here, the same issues you have,
mhm,
the same people you want to avoid or don't want
mhm,
to talk to or don't want to see, you're going to see them anyway on your social media profiles and like, you cannot, peace is
mhm,
an inside job.
mhm.
Peace is an inside job. And if you don't cultivate that within no country, no community, no person, nothing will give it to
Mhm.
you. That's
Yeah.
my full understanding now of it. And I have experienced it for myself. I'm still experiencing it. I still have to make sure that I hold my own peace, because there are a lot of things I could be ticked off about,
Yeah. Mhm,
here, just simple things like I have to wash my own clothes sometimes, right? I
mhm.
could be angry about that, but
Yeah.
why? Like, I have to be intentional about my peace, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wanted to talk
Okay.
about how is that process of getting a piece of art exhibited in the Smithsonian? How did
Listen,
that come about?
that was an act of God. I know artists who write letters and try to get their work in the Smithsonian. I would have never even dared tried, or, like the Smithsonian. It was serendipity. It was, just a very, very, very good friend who happened to be on the curatorial team, and they
Mhm,
were looking for connections between food connections within the Black diaspora. And somebody, she asked me, hey, do you have that piece which related to food and red beans and rice, how beans and rice is a staple in many Black cultures all over the world. Everybody eats beans and rice. Everybody prepares it differently. We have our own way. And, she was like, bring the piece. The curators want to see it. I didn't even know the curators of the Smithsonian would be there. I bought the piece.
mhm,
They were like, this is exactly what we're looking for to tell the story. You
mhm,
know, I mean, it was just surreal. And I'm
mhm,
forever grateful to my friend, to
mhm,
to the curatorial team who saw the vision, because I created the piece as part of a project with my students called Our Food, Our Culture. And I was just trying to tell them how historically in New Orleans, we eat red beans and rice, and we did an art project around it.
mhm,
And also how symbolism changes, because the fleur-de-lis was branded on slaves and people, some
mhm,
African Americans take issue with it. And I'm like, yeah, but if you show a child the fleur-de-lis now, they say the New Orleans Saints. And it's the Louisiana state symbol.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to talk about the present, we need to talk about the history of it and,
Mm-hmm.
tell the truth and what happened, but also the present and what it stands for and what it means. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's how the piece came about. And the fact that right now, today, it's in the Smithsonian, like blows me away. It was from my mama. I was like, Mama, I'm gonna come get that piece real quick. I'll bring it back. And she was like, okay. So then when I called her and I told her, I was like, hey, listen, the curators, they want to take it. Do you mind? She was like, let them take it, let it go. I didn't know they were gonna accession it, not accession it. They were gonna send it back. I had no idea. No
Oh,
idea.
no.
Next thing I know, fast forward, I get an invitation to the inaugural opening because my piece is on permanent display in the museum. It's on permanent display. It's not, I heard you when you mentioned it that I had a piece. No, the
Okay.
piece is on permanent display right now in the Smithsonian. So I'm
Wow.
still like when people send me pictures of it, them with a picture of it, I'm still like, does that really say Myesha Francis? I'm still blown away. I
So,
don't know the process of getting a piece in the Smithsonian. I just know how it happened to
mhm,
me. I have no idea how people get work other than it fits into what the curatorial team is looking
mhm.
for. My charger, my computer is about to die.
Oh,
I probably have about 10 minutes, about 5 or 10 minutes. I don't know what a charger is, but
okay.
that's how it happened. And so
Mhm,
I just say this specifically about that. Your gifts, your talent, your passions will make room for you. You
yeah.
know, follow those things and let them blossom and be
Mhm,
what they must be in this earth. Because I
yeah.
could have thought it, dreamed it, everything, almost everything that has happened to me on my path, the gallery in the arts district downtown New Orleans. How? I was 29 years old, you
Mhm,
know, the Smithsonian. Essence even gave me a Money and Power Award. Like the year I was closing my business, I was so depressed
right,
as I was talking about those paintings I was creating. I don't know how that happened. I still don't know who gave them my name.
right.
The award from Stephanie. And
Mhm,
it's especially at a time when it was like, okay, yes, I need this. I'm leaving. I had already decided I was leaving.
yeah.
So I don't know how these things happen. All I know is that your gifts and your talents will make room for you. Keep going on a journey. And
Mhm,
so that's
mhm,
why I want to be who I needed when I was younger and inspire and encourage other artists, because all these things we've talked about, you go through, but you don't
mhm,
know how to go through them,
yeah.
especially when it can be a very lonely journey.
Mhm,
So I'm doing the
yeah.
27-day creativity challenge to bring artists together to say that we can't, successful artists or artists who have had success, we can't tell you how these things happen. All we
Mhm,
can tell you is walk this journey. And when you have questions and you're lonely, you reach out to somebody like me who's going through it, who will say, no, you don't have to subscribe to the collective consciousness. You have to find your own peace. You have to paint through the pain. You have
mhm.
to create, you have to go into the darkness and push through and come out on the other side. That's what I do.
That I feel like that's like wrapping things up perfectly, and then the light is like, okay, final curtain, close the curtain.
I
But
thank you.
I thank you so much for being here with me. Tell people again how they find you on social media, your website, and all that stuff.
So again, I'm Creatively Yours, Maisha. I've rebranded everything to say Creatively Yours, Maisha, meaning
Mhm,
creatively yours. Like I'm with you on this journey. So I'm Creatively Yours on Instagram. I'm Creatively Yours, Maisha on YouTube. I'm at Creatively Yours. My website is creativelyoursmaisha.com. So
mhm.
Creatively Yours, Maisha is what I do, how you can reach me, and what I go by. So
Okay.
that's me.
Yes, I appreciate so much. And for everyone, I'm going to put it in the description box for you guys to know where to you'll find Maisha. So you'll see it in the description box as well. Yeah, and I think this is a good ending point. I want to tell artists as well, any type of art that you're doing, keep going, be inspired. The world needs to hear your story. They need to see your art, especially for Black people, for our voice to be heard, for visually, for there to be representation from Black artists is just so important. So be inspired by Myesha, that a lot of her goals and accomplishments came to pass. And I am so inspired as well, because there's still so many goals and accomplishments. And I can't lie that sometimes I get discouraged, but you truly are an inspiration, Myesha. So I
Oh,
want to
wow. Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you from
Thank
the bottom of my heart. And so everyone, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, get down in the comments, talk about art, talk about if you're an artist, or just say hello, get in the comments, because that helps my channel grow. It helps the algorithm to see these videos. And that is all that I have for you guys now. And I'll talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.